can we do to stop the theft of our election? I've told you, power is in the hands of the people. To rig an election, you must control a critical mass. The political establishment today does not control any political mass. It is the mass that controls its own destiny. When the election will be called, earlier or in 2027, there will be no politician who will control the political mass and even have an opportunity to manipulate that vote if the people are speaking on one voice, in one voice. But if they are divided along tribal lines, then you give the politician an opportunity to come in and play the game, play the tribal arithmetics, and top up the votes in their tribal zones. But if we are all going to vote on an issue and the issue is cross-cutting, knows not tribe, then they will have lost the opportunity to control one tribal group and use it to show up the numbers. Don't think that Moi and his people didn't desire to steal 202 elections. They did. And there were plans to steal. But when the facts are on the table, I mean the numbers are on the table, even if we told them, look here, give me the numbers. Even if I gave you 100% of your votes in the so-called areas you control, it can't. Because the people of Kenya had in one united accord decided that Moi must go. So the election was beyond any threshold of rigging. Anybody who rigs an election is if the contest is reduced to less than 500,000 votes. We must send William Ruto home by more than 90% of the votes. If he has only less than 1 million votes, where will he get 8 million votes to justify that rigging? Him is done. We should not even waste more time discussing it. It's just a matter of when, not if. In terms of the political formation, is that we must get it right. There's the question about the Supreme Court and the Judiciary as the only anchor. This is the kind of a fight that you don't look towards any other institution to finish it for you. If the power is in the hands of the people and the people are demanding, let institutions and leaders follow the people to an extent that the outcome of that election is that no one will even file or even have the courage to file a petition to challenge the outcome. It will be an overwhelming mandate that even if you went to Supreme Court, they laugh at you out of court. They will not dare overturn the will of the people if the numbers are expressed in such a huge and fervent manner that they will not do anything but to uphold the wish of the people. Are our votes safe? And I tie it with the chest thumping. I was talking to someone who told me he's an expert in psychiatry. And he told me that understand what is happening to William Ruto. He's feeling the pressure. He's responding to the pressure of the people. The chest thumping by the Sudis, the Kimani Chungwas, the Farah Malims, coming right after the international debacle in Ghana, where he was allegedly ignored. This is just a politician. A politician feeds on people's energy. When people are not giving him love, people are throwing stones at him. Probably thought if he went to Ghana, he was going to get some energy, some sense of I'm a leader, I'm accepted. He didn't get it. So taking him to Rift Valley was part of trying to pump him, give him some sense that the people love you and we can speak the way we are speaking, speak Kifua, just to boost his ego. You've seen even Raila in his days when he had issues at the national level. He will go to Kibra, Kamukunji, short notice, just so that he can get that at least people are still listening to me. So don't pay too much attention to the talk by Oscar Sudis and Ichungwa. Those are just people working to boost the ego of a leader who is feeling unloved, who is unwanted internationally and locally. The loss of Biden and the departure of Meg, the former American ambassador, that was a big blow, a huge blow to William Ruto's ego, because Meg was his #1 international ambassador, the one who was holding his hand. Meg leaving Kenya has exposed him. He's not sure, he's unsure what is going to happen with the Trump administration. What position will they take? He has lost his largest lobby internationally. He goes to Ghana and is isolated. The man's ego is now in tatters, and it's not being helped when he comes to Kenya and he finds the people advocating more and more. Then he goes into his own administration government and he's seeing the empty coffers. People are demanding for services and there's no money in the coffers. They're empty. That is shocking his administration. So don't pay too much attention on him. He has his own demons fighting him. And they are slowly, day by day, making his exit inevitable. So I will not pay too much attention to chest thumping. Even when Raila was the candidate for Azimio, you remember the likes of Sabina Chege saying how tutafanya ile kitu yetu. They didn't. You Kenyans defeated a regime. Nobody expected that the outcome of the elections would be what it was. It was an obvious, almost a foregone conclusion that Uhuru will rig the election in favor of Raila. He didn't. The opposite happened. Even if it is Ruto who rigged, I don't know, but the opposite happened. So also with this one, the opposite will happen when the elections are called. Don't fear him. For as long as the people remain and focused, eyes on the ball, that he must go and the new administration should be one that feeds to the needs of the people. The question of having IBC by May, Neto I think has handled it very well. Elections must be held. The long stop date is 27th of August. Ruto has no power to postpone elections in this country. Even Parliament cannot postpone elections in this country. If you want to postpone elections and delay that election date, you must go back to the people of Kenya in a referendum and have the people amend the constitution to change that date. If for nothing, on the 27th of August 2027, the long stop date, Ruto ceases to be president, with or without elections. That is another conversation that we can have. But he cannot say that since we don't have elections, I'm still the president. His mandate ends on the 27th of August 2027. What are the legal consequences of not following the constitution? That is where we are today. The people claim their sovereignty because they gave you the constitution as the platform and the basic document that you should use to govern. If the administration is operating outside that constitution, then that basic governance document is disregarded, and the people are right and well in order to claim sovereignty back into their own hands and exercise their sovereignty directly. So the regime that is in power today is a regime that the people have said, you are ignoring the constitution. We have reclaimed our sovereignty. Hence, the lack of settlement. You are not seeing any sense of order. You are not seeing any sense of leadership in this country because the people are holding their sovereignty. All that they are doing is they occupy space and they have instruments of violence that they are using to fight back. It will not give them regime legitimacy because the people already said you undermined our constitution. We are now going to operate in our own space. And that order that the Kenyan people desire will only come back in an election when we have an opportunity to donate back our sovereignty to a group that we believe represents our aspirations. My final point is this. In my view, I ask that we consider anybody who offers himself to be a leader, because the vacuum that is coming with William Ruto's departure, there is consensus across the country that people are not going to vote for William Ruto. It presents an opportunity for all manner of people to offer themselves as substitutes. If we do not get a leadership that understands what the problem is and has the courage to uproot this entire political system and the structures that support it, we will be back on the space on the second month of that administration, saying how that administration is going back on the commitment. So the interrogation, and I like that invitation by one of the speakers, that we need to invite anybody who offers himself to be a leader to be interrogated and asked the questions. And one fundamental question that I desire people to ask is, why do you want to lead us? What is in it for you? As a person, your individual, your self-interest in this position you are seeking. We must all be frank to say why you want to be. Fine, there's the component of what you're going to do in your manifesto. But we need to understand what is your self-interest in it. What is it about you? When Matiang'i, for example, comes and says, I want to be the president, beyond just having been a CS interior and you have your questions you'll be asked about your term, what is the self-interest that you want to achieve in that position? If that question is not asked and answered, then you'll end up having Ruto'ism without Ruto. Because that person will still be captured by the same system. The people who want to be elected, are they able to go and overhaul the entire treasury? And I disagree with my brother Omtata when he says split treasury from the budget making process. It's the same. You can split the institutions, but the structures, the culture is the same. You can have different departments handling different issues, but it will be the same. You need to overhaul the entire system. Remove it. It's about uprooting it. These are revolution. This is liberation. You are not going to liberate yourself using the same structures if they still remain as they were before. Even the Supreme Court, that's a political court. You cannot subjugate your sovereignty to 7 people that, fine, we voted, it's been rigged, we pray the Supreme Court will uphold our will. In a revolution, no. When it is a liberation, it should be such that even the Supreme Court will follow you, not you following the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court judges, justices, they're also human. They don't go to heaven in the evening. They live here. This movement should be such that even the justice of the Supreme Court will be on the streets demonstrating with you and demanding accountability, demanding for good governance, demanding for economic liberation, following the people. Not that we've done our part, we leave it to you. We must make it that even if a case is being heard, it is so obvious that it's just for formality and to rubber stamp as a final link of approval the wish of the people. And the previous incidents when we've had petitions, it's been politicians contesting. So the Supreme Court can play political games to satisfy which political wing they think for the purposes of the nation at that particular point, they deserve to uphold their victory or overturn their victory. Thank you very much, and I yield back the mic.
Asante sana kwa kutazama Wasource TV. Kama hujasubscribe na kuomba uweze kusubscribe, finya notification bell ndio wakati wote tunapata habari kama hii unakuwa mtu wa kwanza kuipata. Huyo amekuwa ni Willis Otieno ambaye ni lawyer wake Jimmy Wanjigi. Ameweza kuzungumza mambo mengi ambayo umeweza kuyasikiza hapo. So niachie maoni yako kwenye comment section, finya notification bell ndio wakati wote tunapata habari kama hii unakuwa mtu wa kwanza kuipata. Hadi wakati mwingine, nakutakia usiku mwanana.